Hey y'all, it's my review for the Real Housewives of Atlanta, episode 15. We left off last week on it to be continued when Sonya's husband Ross stood up to defend his wife. He was like, hold on. Don't F with my wife. This scene must have been edited down because he just stood up and he walked away, and then Sonya goes after him. The whole table just quiet looking at each other now. I mean, it is an awkward moment. Ross been pretty chill this entire season. He not like a Peter Thompson type. So for him to get riled up over this is a big deal. Now I asked the question, is he wrong for standing up for his wife? And I did make the comparison of Ty jumping in for Candy. And I do realize that Marlo was talking about him, but I'm just saying in general, was he wrong for it? Maybe I should have worded it differently. Because I'm wondering, what should a significant other do in this situation, especially when it's 2-on-1? Like, is he supposed to sit there while two people come at his wife's character? Because I know a lot of people are focusing on the gender of the situation, like, oh, he a man, he not supposed to enter in women's business. Like, I don't know, I'm just not mad at him in this situation. Yeah, he shouldn't have cursed, but he walked away. Like, he didn't jump into the argument. He was just like, hold on, I don't play this. It's not like he threatened Kenya and Sheree. But anyway, I'm wondering, why do they care so much? They didn't lose anything out of missing her commercial. Candy brings up a good point to the table. Like, she's working. I'm sure it wasn't her utmost priority to make sure Kenya and Sheree get there. Like, she's working. We then cut to Ross's confessional, and he compares it to seeing his wife drowning. Like, he had to do something about it. Look. That's how he saw it. Ooh, he looked fine in this confessional. Sorry, I got distracted. And here go hating ass Drew. Anytime there's an opportunity to hate on Sonya, Drew steps right on up. She's like, oh, so we not gonna hold people accountable? I mean, just because her lying, scamming ass ain't the subject of ridicule for once, and Sonya's getting the heat, she's enjoying that. Candy in her confessional is saying they had fun on the boat yesterday instead of going to the iFit commercial. So what's the big deal then if they had a good time? I agree. We get to Marlo's confessional, and she's saying Kenya's just mad that John left her on day one, so she needs somebody to argue with. Marlo will take any opportunity to go at Kenya. And also, I just want to point out what Candy said in her confessional, because I said this last week in my review, that Sonya has hosted a way better trip than Kenya did, because I did mention about the crab cakes. So after Sonya and her husband woo-side on the side, they go back to the table, and Sonya just lets them know what the itinerary is for tomorrow. I just think Sonya didn't deserve that heat at the table. Like, if she did something underhanded, like what she did at Marlo's trip and went and told Marlo what Kenya said, then yeah, get on her about that. But this iFit thing, it was much to do about nothing. So dinner is over. Next scene, it's a new day. It's day 4 in Jamaica. Damn, they were there for 4 days? How long are they gonna be there? I'm guessing pre-pandemic / lockdown, they were at the destinations like at least 5 days. So we're with Sheree now. She's on FaceTime with her employee talking about her fashion show. She has 3 weeks to produce this event. I mean, hopefully she has fashions for this fashion presentation, because according to her in her confessional, she's saying she's running into obstacle after obstacle, and it's not looking too good right now. Much like Khloe Kardashian, I think Sheree has a fetish for embarrassment. Like, she can't go 1 season without it. So a little later on, we see most of the cast in the lobby, and Marlo is addressing them, saying that Sonya has temporarily made her the host of this trip. Everyone looking at her like she's crazy, because Kenya's there, and she's paying her dust, and Candy just looking at her like, that was a bad idea. She knows nobody is fucking with her right now, and she's thirsty for an interaction. We see Sheree actually got on the bus to meet up with Sonya at her iFit commercial. We see in a flashback that Sonya was committed to making it up to her. This is only going to make it more awkward for Marlo, since her only 2 allies aren't there, so she's going to be iced out temporarily with the group she's with. So we see Sheree made it to Sonya's iFit commercial, but she missed most of it, so it seemed like she just wasted her time. She says the driver got lost too. This really makes the argument they had the previous evening kind of silly now. So we're back at the hotel, and Marlo's telling everyone the itinerary, and no one is paying attention to her. And Kenya even walks off while she's talking. I'm kind of embarrassed for Marlo. Ooh, Kenya is reading Marlo in her confessional. Oh shit. I really hope Marlo studied or practiced her reads for this reunion because she's just not Kenya's match, when it comes to reading at least. Next scene, we're back with Sonya and Sheree walking through the woods, and Sonya's just saying how she don't see it for Kenya right now. Like, she's being real passive aggressive with her, and just how unfair it was how she came at her. And it looks like she didn't even invite Kenya to the second day of her iFit shoot. Production then reminds us in flashbacks of 3 times when Kenya has dismissed Sonya. So she has a case. Sonya does bring up a good point though. She said, do you think Kenya will call you while she was doing Dancing with the Stars? Next scene, we're with the rest of the cast headed to lunch where they're meeting Sheree, and they're eating under a tree filled with birds, and they notice that the birds are pooping on the table where it's like really close to their food. Oh God. So, you see some of them scatter, and Candy, she ain't about to leave that plate on the table. She goes and gets her plate and continues to eat. I would be completely grossed out. I would throw my plate away and get a new one and eat somewhere else. Not some of them still eating at the table. After lunch, they all go sit out by the pool. I don't know why Marlo keeps trying to get Candy and Todd's attention. They're not talking to you right now, and it makes you look real desperate and crazy to keep talking to them. She is a persistent antagonist, ain't she? Moneta, Candy's friend, is surprisingly sitting next to Marlo. Even Marlo said like, oh, she must have got Candy's permission to sit next to me. Moneta isn't giving as a good friend of. Like, she's just there, she's just there along for the ride. Like, she's talking to them, but she's not really making a splash like I want her to. I like her, but she's no Tanya. She's not even Talk ACU or whatever her name was, Yolanda or Yawana. I don't know, whatever her name was. We need better friends of on Atlanta. Marlo is telling Sheree and Moneta her side of why she went off on Candy. And I can kind of see Marlo's perspective. She said she was having a discussion between her and Ralph, and it did get heated. She probably did go a little too hard on him, but Candy did insert herself. And if Candy didn't insert herself into that argument, Marlo wouldn't have came after her the way she did. So I get it from that perspective, but Marlo is also the queen of contradictions, and Candy just felt the need to point that out to her. She also feels some type of way that Candy brought up her nephews in front of everybody at the table because she didn't tell everybody. Ooh, child, Sheree really is losing her voice. She sounds like she just smoked 2 packs of cigarettes. So Sonya now joins the group, and Marlo is relieved of her temporary hosting duties to the relief of everybody. So next up on the itinerary, they're going whitewater rafting. But when they get there, it's not really what they think it's gonna be. Like, they're not rafting themselves. Like, it's basically gonna be like a Jamaican gondola ride. Well, if there's one thing Kenya know how to do, it is complain. Even if it's not traditional whitewater rafting, it still looks fun and relaxing. They just said that water is 1 to 25 feet deep. That would freak me out. Yeah, this is a very relaxing activity, but not much is happening, so fast forward. So as they're rafting, we hear 2 conversations, one between Sheree and Kenya. Sheree is being messy. Like, just after she spoke to Sonya, like, she's like, oh yeah, she was mad at me. And then we're with Sonya and Marlo, and she's complaining to her about Kenya. Kenya is then telling Sheree how intimidating it was when Ross stood up to defend his wife. She actually even calls it scary, and I'm like, Kenya, like, he wasn't gonna launch over there to y'all. He wasn't in y'all face. He shouldn't have cursed at all at them, but it's a slippery slope when she used the word aggressive describing Ross. You can even notice Sheree's verbiage, how she tried to stay away from calling him aggressive. Like, when he stood up from the table, he walked away. Like, he didn't go over to Sheree and Kenya's side and say, don't fuck with my wife. That would have been a lot, and that would have been aggressive. But him standing up, he had enough, and he walked away. Again, I don't agree with him cursing at them, but I don't think he was as aggressive and scary as Kenya is saying. Meanwhile, we're back at the hotel in Drew's room for a second as she's getting a bottle of champagne sent to her room. I totally forgot she was on this episode, and I like that. Anyway, next scene is later in the evening. All the ladies are getting ready for dinner. We see that Drew isn't going to dinner either because of her swollen ankle now. Like, she should have just went home when she fell. And it was her own fault that she fell. It wasn't even that she was racing. Like, she was running, hopping, and skipping and tripped on her own foot and injured herself. If she can't participate in the activities, it doesn't make sense for her to be there. But I'm guessing it's because since they get paid per episode, she wanted to make sure she was there to get paid. We're now in Candy's room and she's talking to Manetta, and Manetta's telling her about her conversation with Marlo. And Candy, she doesn't want to hear it. She's like, fuck y'all conversation. Candy really feels some type of way mostly because Marlo came for her husband. Which we know, if you know Candy, you do not come for her husband. You just don't. Candy even says in her confessional that she is not open to being in a better place with Marlo. Fuck that bitch. She didn't say it like that, but that's how she meant it. Not Manetta actually vouching for Marlo. Okay, she'll find out when she get into it with Marlo. I mean, if she makes it another season. Because you know the first thing Marlo gonna bring up is Neo. Candy's now defending herself about why she jumped in Marlo and Ralph's conversation. She was saying she was going really hard on Ralph and she was being contradictory and she felt the need to say something about it. Ooh, I said it once and I'll say it again. Atlanta is just not known for their fashions. At least in a good way. And speaking of that, we see that Marlo and Candy, out of all people, have on the same top. It's just two different colors. It is a cute top though. So they're all seated for dinner now. Everyone's at the table except for Joe and Ralph. Y'all know I definitely don't mind that. So far, dinner is peaceful and everyone's being cordial. So Sonya then asks everybody what was their highlight of the trip. I don't even think they got around the whole table. Sheree then tells Candy that, oh well, I think maybe you and Marlo could talk. And it looks like Candy's open to hearing what Marlo has to say. So then Marlo's telling her why she went below the belt. Candy says that even though Marlo didn't like what she said, it's not like she said something that wasn't true. And what she said about her husband Todd, that wasn't true, so that's why she's pissed at her. Mostly because she talked about her man and lied on him. I'm pretty sure because Marlo lies. She was grasping at straws to try to hurt Candy for embarrassing her at the table for giving away her nephews, or plotline kids. Now Candy does apologize to Marlo for bringing up her nephews. However, she points out that Ralph couldn't really defend himself against her because of the perception of a man arguing with a woman. That's why she interjected. I mean, y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think about that. And then she points out how Marlo is known for going low and below the belt and how she don't expect for other people to go just as low with her. And then we hear the, I'm Michelle Obama. You go low, I'ma go low with you. They even named the episode Not Michelle Obama. Todd then interjects and tells Marlo, at least when you come for Candy, can you leave me out of it? Can you well, he said leave me the fuck out of it. And Marlo points out, oh, you gotta curse at me? Proving Candy's point of the optics of a man addressing a woman on this show. So now they begrudgingly come to an understanding of moving forward. Marlo promises not to bring up Candy's husband anymore, and Candy promises not to bring up her nephews anymore. So a little later, all the men disperse from the table to let the women talk and have their moment, and they're all right now just reflecting on the trip. As Sonya's talking, she addresses Kenya directly and asks her, is there anything you want to say? You know, every time I talk, you want to look into your phone, you being passive aggressive. Kenya's like, I'm not doing nothing. My phone's in my bag. Kenya, I mean, how annoying she can be, she's still a good reader, and I'm not sure if Sonya wants to smoke. Sonya then calls Kenya ungrateful because she says she's been nothing but a gracious, amazing host. Kenya is just dismissing her again. They're going back and forth, and then Kenya tells her, I'll let you talk, you listen to me. Ooh, child, they are going back, forth, and forth. Like, I'm on Sonya's side. Like, Kenya's just being very dismissive and gaslighting and not taking any accountability of what she's done to Sonya. And the way Kenya is talking to Sonya right now is just mad disrespectful and just called her inarticulate. Kenya is lights, camera, action right now. Uh-oh, so Sonya's losing some points here in this argument. Like, she had the floor. Kenya asked her, what was another time that you felt dismissed by her? And Sonya couldn't think, and she's like, oh, I need a second. There was just 2 or 3 other occasions when she did this to you. Like, we were reminded by production. I wouldn't call it Sonya not being able to handle Kenya, but Kenya kept like turning the situation around, kept interrupting her, going back and forth, to the point where Sonya just became tongue-tied in the situation, making Kenya look like the winner in this argument. Sonya, let this moment be a lesson for you at the reunion coming up. Well, y'all filmed it already, but I hope you learn your lesson from this and are able to articulate your point. Even Sonya admits in her confessional that she slipped up in this argument with Kenya, and she should have been reading her for filth in her Jamaican accent. So now their argument's coming down a few notches. The ladies are coming to a mutual understanding. Kenya's kind of being nice in a shady way to Sonya. And this conversation is ended with Kenya asking Sonya, did she get her a birthday cake? Was it Kenya's birthday during this or something? I didn't even hear them mention it. And then the screen fades to black with production letting us know that Sonya did not get Kenya a birthday cake. And after that caption, that is where the episode ends. Or so we think. Marlo interrupts the preview in her confessional, saying that her and Candy actually got over their beef at the Jamaican airport over a bucket of KFC. Child, so according to Marlo, before she got to the airport, she got some KFC in Jamaica. Apparently, KFC in Jamaica is extremely good. It's better than the States. Candy, she loved her food, and she said she really wanted to try it. So Candy passes Marlo in the airport, and she noticed she got the bucket of chicken. She begrudgingly asked Marlo for a wing. Now, I get it. Now, it's not too far-fetched. I love me a wing. If my enemy offered me a 10-piece wing, all flat, lemon pepper with ranch, I might be like, bitch, hand that over. And I might forgive you for a second. So I don't blame Candy. I probably would have did the same thing too. I think it's really funny that they made up over fried chicken, but it is what it is. And that is actually where the episode ends. This episode was okay. It was very mid-tier. I'm kind of ready for this season to end so we can get to Potomac. I think this season has given us all the drama they can, unless I'm wrong. Or I'm just ready to get to the reunion, something, because, this episode is just something to have on while I'm like having dinner or editing. It's not like must-see like how I feel with Beverly Hills. Or maybe y'all feel different. Let me know what y'all thought about the episode in the comments. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see y'all for my Married to Medicine review. Bye.